All right, guys, we're here in South Carolina at the SeaPro factory, as you can see behind me, and I'm gonna give y'all an inside tour of what it's like to own a SeaPro boat. Come on, let's go. All right, we're here inside the SeaPro factory. I'm gonna take y'all in the back and show you step by step how these SeaPro boats are built. Let's go. So we're in the fabrication shop, aluminum now, and Mike's gonna give us a rundown of kind of how they do everything in-house here for these boats.
Metal fabrication is something we brought in-house several years ago. We wanted to have our eyes on everything we do. You can't really have quality control when you're becoming an assembly line instead of a manufacturer, right?
Right.
So we wanted to have the T-top frames, our leaning post frames, ski tow bars, anything that's built out of aluminum. Instead of having someone else build it for us, we brought it in-house, so that we'd have our eyes on the quality control and of course the volume, because as we grew, some of the people we were using the very beginning 8 years ago couldn't keep up with our production. So it was holding up boats at the end of the line. So when we brought it in-house, it took care of a lot of things, and that being the most important.
And it's a critical part of the boat, because we use that aluminum a lot on the boat. It's
absolutely.
Used in a lot of different aspects. Rod holders, just that. I've heard of rod holders coming off of T-top, stuff like that. So it's a critical part of what we do. Yeah,
big time. And it's a lot of the structural integrity, you know, a lot of the, not knocking other manufacturers, but you know yourself, you've been boating your entire life. You're out on some boats, things are rattling and squeaking, and it seems like it's going to come apart or come off.
T-tops that shift and everything else, and if you're not doing it in-house, you can't keep control over that.
Exactly.
No, I understand. And that's what separates a national big brand from a small brand that has to order it in.
Right, exactly. So when we brought in the metal fab, that coattailed into bringing in the powder coat system as well. And we actually used, we were fortunate, there's a local powder coat company in South Carolina that were willing to help educate us on the best way to do the powder coat system. And so it's a lot of it is in the aluminum prep. It's not just in the powder coat.
So Jimmy was telling that earlier today that we offer a 5-year warranty on SeaPro boats on the powder coating. I didn't even know that was even capable, and he said it's because of the prep.
Right.
100% because of the prep. I thought that was really neat that, it's one thing that's just not pushed enough about this brand. We will throughout this video. It's just warranty on this brand is, I would compare it to the power pole warranty of add-ons. It is that good. It's bumper to bumper. I've used it for things, and you hope you never have to use it, but that's incredible they cover the powder coat.
Yeah,
it really
absolutely.
is.
Yeah.
All right, so this is another section of SeaPro. What makes them a national brand, I call them, which is a big brand, is the lamination department. All the small parts are built in-house here at SeaPro, and pretty cool. It's just a lot to take in.
It is. Well, what you'll notice, and I know you guys have walking around, but a lot of you manufacturers too are a little bit more of an assembly plant, right? This company builds our small parts, this company builds our T-tops, this company builds our aluminum. Like I say, we're back to where we started, where we build everything in-house. But you'll see some of the small parts behind us. We build the consoles in-house, so they're hand-laid, gelled with the same high-quality product and engineering that we did with all the parts, whether it be the deck or the hull. So your T-top glass, your consoles, fiberglass leaning posts, even something as far as the buckets that create your live wells. I mean, all that's built in-house here, starting to finish.
Cool. That's what separates, and I've seen it day in and day out running these boats. It's incredible that the uphold that this stuff has. Got to give it to y'all at SeaPro boats.
Yeah, we'll step around to lids here in a little bit, and I'll give you an idea about that as well.
All right, cool.
So right next to our gel coat booth, we have mold prep. So basically, all the molds, whether it be a deck, a hull, console, doesn't matter. They're on what we call a mold rotation list cycle, right? So after they get so many parts pulled from that particular mold, you have to take it offline, make sure it's 100%, wax it, and get it prepped for the next rotation.
Really?
So we
about how many times can they pop a mold?
It depends on the part. Some of the things they may run 2 or 3 parts, some of them may run 7 parts.
Wow, so it's a lot though. It's pretty often.
Exactly.
Wow.
Got to stay on top of it.
Yeah, that's the thing.
That's where it starts. That's where the perfection starts.
It is, and I tell you what, all these employees here definitely take pride in what they do. They're nonstop around here.
Absolutely.
Pretty impressive.
Yep.
Very impressed.
Thank you. So what you notice here, obviously, this is again, you talked about where it starts. This is where it starts, right?
Where it all
we
starts.
took you out of mold prep, which is of course the gel coat booth, and we use a premium gel coat, probably the most expensive gel coat NEOS even makes. But you'll notice even in this, we're in the beginning stages of laying up a hull. and this is a hand-laid hull, and we do vacuum infusing and hand-laid, depending on the model, right?
Right.
But you can see from this, there's different core materials that are used depending on the model, right? To create the structural integrity. So after the gel coat is put on, the next thing we do is a vinyl ester barrier coat. Unlike some manufacturers, we vinyl ester barrier coat from the capping knuckle down, so the entire boat, not just from the waterline down.
So you said different types of hulls are done different ways. Is that based off of size?
It is, based off, exactly. So the different core materials are what will determine, right, what structural integrity you need for each model.
So the bigger boat, more structural integrity we need.
Exactly.
Different type of process.
Whether it be the stringer system, which, you know, obviously we have a stringer mold for every single model that we build. So each model that C-Pro builds has its own rib cage, right? So the structural integrity that you obtain from your stringer, we don't just block build a stringer and glass over it. We actually have a finished molded gel coated product that goes inside of each hull for the rib cage, for the stringer system.
Wow, wow. Impressive to watch, guys. I hope y'all enjoy seeing this and seeing how it's actually done from start to finish, how these C-Pro boats are built that we fish out of every single day.
So guys, now we're in the actual lid department, and when we said that we build everything in-house, we mean everything. And you'll see here with the lids, they're squish molded, and you'll see core materials laid up in those. You know, some of the boat lids that are out there, depending on the manufacturer, you step on it, they can't take the weight, they don't have the structural rigidity or structural integrity that ours do. So our lids are actually laid up just basically like a hull or a deck, where they're premium gel coat, core materials, and also the resin and glass combination that creates the structural integrity, so that when you're standing on the boat, you don't hear the creaks and the cracks and things of the lids. They're very stable. That we intend for them to stay that way for the lifetime of the product.
All right, so now we're where it all starts coming together, which is a cool spot for me. This is where they do all the rigging, huh?
Yep. So what you see on this side of the building is hull rigging, and then we've got deck rigging. So a lot of things that we do are obviously mostly critical components are through bolted, right?
Right.
So you have to through bolt those things before you cap the boat. We'll move on to capping in just a minute, but you'll see a lot of unique things with the C-Pro with either through bolting or chase tubes. As a matter of fact, you know, that's something that's a big thing, to be able to run your wiring and plumbing through pipe instead of having an opportunity for the boat to pinch something off.
Right.
What's in capping, or to cause you a problem down the road and you don't know where it's coming from and why.
It's much easier to do now than it is then.
Absolutely.
So yeah, no, it's all the attention to detail is so awesome to watch and hear and see it all done in-house. And just how much of an assembly line it really is to establish one of these boats, and why prices of boats are where they are. It's a lot into it.
There is, and in each station, as you've seen, is basically that it's an end user customer, right? So whether it's lamination, selling that product, to patch and polish to make sure the boat's ready to come around the doorway here to come to rigging, and then rigging wants to make sure that that product is ready to go to capping, and capping wants to make sure that product's right. Everybody's responsible for their station and the quality.
Really
so now, guys, I wanted to bring you by and show you the upholstery department. Again, back to when we said we build everything in-house, we mean absolutely everything we can build in-house, other than maybe stainless motors and electronics. It's built here. But you can see here we have the CNC machines that are cutting the patterns for the upholstery or either the substrate. And the assembly starts with this young lady right here. She's pulling material off and starting the build process.
Y'all know that I really like my C-Pro seats, and we get a lot of compliments. That's one thing I got to tell you, Mike. On the C-Pro 250 that I have, people say that seat is really comfortable.
Yeah.
This is the reason, because if they ordered it out, then we'd be riding on something a little harder, a little softer. And I know we dealt with that when we were dealing with the demo models. Remember, one of the models y'all made, the seats were too soft. It's so much attention to detail y'all try and do and tweak it up to exactly what it needs to be.
Well, because the density of the foam makes a difference, right? And there's stacked materials, and they're just like there's stacked foam. So it's kind of a little bit of a trial and error, but you shoot to the median, because you got a guy that might be my size, you got a guy that might be, weigh 100 pounds. Both of those guys got to be comfortable in that seat.
Yeah. And I'm telling you, I've gotten a ton of compliments on those seats of how comfortable they are. I sit in them and they go, man, these seats are real comfortable, because that's one thing that a lot of boat companies in my eyes leave out, is the attention to detail on the ride. And that's supposed to, I sit in that chair 1,000 hours a year myself.
Right.
I mean, people forget about that. They look at everything else and they go, okay, here's a lean post with some hard foam top and bottom.
Right.
And it can ruin the whole atmosphere of a boat.
Exactly.
You know, everybody loves the ride on my boat, but I think a lot of it has to do with the way they're riding in the boat.
You still have to have the creature comforts. You know, the boat might have all the fishability in the world, but you still got to have the creature comforts. You know, you might have a really strong, durable truck, right? But if you're going to plant yourself in that truck for 8 hours, you got to be able to stay in there and be comfortable.
And that's, like I said, I think people think it's all the ride, but I think it's a combination of all the small things put together that people love with Sea Pro boats.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, really neat. We're going to show you how they stitch them now. He's going to take you into the stitching area and show you that real quick. All right, so now we're in the stitching department, and then what else is in here? There's a couple things going on inside of here.
Well, the entire assembly process. So when we were showing you the CNC machines back there where they're cutting the patterns for the upholstery or cutting the substrates for the upholstery, once you come around here, it's where it goes from just a foam product and some Sarber to it becomes an actual upholstered part. So we have these ladies here that are actually doing the stitching, to stitch the patterns together, and then we have the ladies and gentlemen on this side that are actually building the part entirely from start to finish. So one of the things we want to stop in and see the upholstery department, and we've had him wander around a little bit to show you how the raw materials are turned into product. I've got Tyler Wren with me here. Tyler's one of the plant engineers, and one of the things he specifically puts his heart and soul into a lot of times for us is the upholstery department with new and different exciting products. I'm going to let Tyler talk about that just for a second.
Yeah, so we're always looking for just new materials, improved designs. We want to take what we're getting from our customer feedback and we want to turn that into new upholstery designs. So you see we've got some new seats behind us that are new for model year 24. You'll see them again in model year 25. We've got some colors up top. We've got an all white with white stitching. So we're constantly striving to do new and innovative things with new patterns and new designs. So hopefully you'll see some of those coming soon.
So a lot of what a lot of what Tyler's been talking about with the moving into model year 2025 is, he's always trying to find a better product. And like we were talking earlier, where it's comfort. It's not just how it looks. Obviously, looks are important. We want it to have the curb appeal that as good as it gets. But in that process, Tyler also thinks through what we were talking about earlier, which is something as simple as the density of the foam or mixing the density of the foam, so that somebody is willing to go 80 miles offshore and be able to tolerate it without feeling like they've been beat up by the time they get home. So there's a lot that goes into each and every facet of what we do, but upholstery, we feel like, is one of the main things that we do better. We do different, and we feel like we do better. Tyler's one of the reasons.
All right, so we've made it to the section where these boats actually start looking like full boats. And what's going on here, Mike?
Well, once the boats come out of the capping station that we showed you earlier, some of the things that obviously the electronics are installed in the console department. The glass for the T-tops is actually installed where the T-tops are rigged. Okay. So that after the boats are capped, we're basically setting the console and T-top in the boat inside the building. But once you get to this stage of the game, it becomes a little bit more of the final touches, like we install the upholstery at this point. You don't want to take a chance on upholstery getting damaged further back in the line.
Right, put a T-top on or something, yeah.
Right, anything can happen. Yep. So this is where the upholstery will be installed and some of the final details of glass and things of that nature. And then when it goes from this point, the next step will be into the pool, because when we do the pool testing, that's where you're checking the wiring and the pumps and the switches.
So they go through these boats fully of everything on them, check everything.
We power everything up except the engines themselves, because obviously you have to put oil in the engines before you fire them up. But everything else, we put batteries on the boat and we get in to test all the systems to make sure everything's working, whether it be the electronics, bilge pump, things of that nature.
So basically it gets tested twice because the dealer does the same thing.
Exactly.
It's a double up thing. So, and I noticed some of these boats don't have motors, so where the upholstery's put on is where these motors are mounted up to.
Exactly, same thing. The motors are pre-rigged, and then when they come out onto the floor at this stage of the game, that's when they get rigged to the boats.
Yeah, and a lot of these motors are plug and play, so they're literally not much damage can happen. They're plugging it all in and sending it to the pool.
All the harnesses are obviously in the boat, the deck, the hull harness, T-top harness console, all those things are in. At this point, you're right, it's a plug and play system.
Pretty cool, pretty cool. And like I said, I can't tell y'all enough about these Sea Pro boats. As you saw from start to finish, how these things are built. It's why I own one. It's why I'll continue to own one. And Mike, you've been with them since
the beginning, pretty much.
Exactly. And I mean, like I said, we just can't, neither one of us say enough about this brand. of what they're doing over here and what they're building. And like we were just talking about with the upholstery guy and everybody else, everybody's continuing, Jimmy too, me and Jimmy were talking about it earlier today, everybody's continuing innovating and getting a little better. And some of the stuff he was telling me, the minor things that he's trying to fix, to me are ridiculous. Like, it's minute.
Right.
But that's how you make an exclusive brand. That is exactly how it's done.
That attention to detail is sometimes what sets you apart.
In every industry.
Absolutely.
That's what we do in the guide industry and everything else. So I might not see it, but every little thing he sees is what makes this brand what it is.
Right.
And it's a highly impressive brand. These brands, C-Pro has kind of, I wouldn't say gotten a bad rap, but it doesn't have the reputation that it should because it's a production boat. But it's the highest level of production boat you can get in my eyes. I've fished on boats that were all different grades, and I haven't fished on a better hull or had one hull up better, the gel coat and everything, than a C-Pro boat.
Yeah, we know that we're considered in the mid-tier market for the center console lines, but we're at the top of the mid-tier and we're actually bumping the next level. So what I would tell you, that I tell consumers every day, which is the gospel, you're getting a high quality boat, but you're getting it at a mid-tier price, right?
So and he makes a very good point there, and it's a point I try and make all the time, is just because it's considered a mid-tier boat because of the price.
Exactly.
But it's because of the price, because look at the volume they're buying. Look at the amount, me and Mike were just talking about it, how many boats are in here right now? There's over 100 boats being built at one time in this factory. That's the only reason why you're getting it at mid-tier pricing. If not, it would be a high-tier pricing boat.
Exactly.
So if C-Pro was building 200, 100 boats a year, you'd be paying that upper echelon. So that's the benefit you get. That's the warranty benefit you get. I mean, those are the things that sold me on it and have continued to sell me, is the volume and the power that they have allow us, the consumer, to get a better product at a better price.
You got it.
And I hope we can teach people that more and more about how these boat companies work. And it's not, the brand being expensive is not making the boat great. It's just that they don't buy a lot of times. Not to say there aren't some great boats, but that's a lot of what it is the volume of boats they create.
Exactly, yeah. Because if you think about it, even though we're not necessarily a custom company, right, you still get a lot of custom features. And we
have a custom catalog. I mean, you can order features from the
somebody
deluxe
can sit
to this
down,
to that.
Exactly. They can pick out the options and the colors and the features. And because we made a concerted decision years ago when we started that the boats would be feature rich, right? We didn't like the circus of someone sitting down with a sales guy in a dealership wherever in this country and saying, hey, I love the boat, but I need this, 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 and this, but for it to fit my family or fit my needs or fit where I'm going to fish it. We loaded the boats from the factory.
Right.
So all those features are already built in, which means they're already built into the price. And it's back to what you were saying before, because we purchase at such a high volume, we're able to pass that along to the consumer where they get a feature-rich boat, but it's still at that mid-tier price.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I was blown away with when I got mine is power steering. It's standard in this boat.
Right.
That's an add-on in most companies.
It's an expensive add-on.
It's an expensive add-on. So when you jump in these boats and people jump in and say, oh, wow, this steering's nice, I can tell them, hey, it comes like that. That is just how it comes. And, once again, you're comparing apples to oranges a lot of times. We talk about it in the boating industry, but the features just keep getting added to C-Pro too. I sat in with Jimmy earlier today, and he talked about new models we got coming and new features, especially for you fishermen. The things that we've been talking about a long time, we've been waiting for a long time, are coming in 2025, 2026. Right. So the sky is going to be the limit, whether you're fishing, boating, sandbarring, just restaurant hopping, you name it, C-Pro is going to be able to do it.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to continue to evolutionize. We're going to tend to have the different stages of different things you use the boat for. Regard, like you said, if it's a family day, if it's a fishing day, if it's a boat day, we want the boats to be able to accommodate everyone. Yep. We want you to get the bang for your buck.
Yeah, and one of the coolest things I found out, and I'll show you a little video of this when I see one, is the new basically bar top in the water.
Yeah.
The sandbar bar top. These are the kind of innovative things. I think it won a product award too.
It did.
Not too long back. I mean,
we're at a national recognition for that boat.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And they're going to continue to come with these things. And like I said, I can't be more excited about the boats coming and the boats that we already have on the market that I use.
We're going to continue to add to the model lineup.
Yeah,
it's going to keep growing. Yep. We are too.
Well, hope y'all like this video. Make sure y'all subscribe to the channel. There'll be a lot more coming from C-Pro. We're going to compare some different things, whether you want a high side or low side boat, like a center console or a true bay, what the differences are, what to get, and a lot of other things, from propping boats to everything else. So make sure you subscribe and check out the new videos coming. We already did one with the Mercury versus Suzuki, which if you haven't checked it out, is doing great. Until next time, we'll see y'all again at the C-Pro factory.